2. Fancy. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's DeMarius Jackson, and in today's video we're going to go over how to sound fancy, aka how to play embellished scale tone enclosures. Now, fancy is kind of a subjective word, so let's go with what it really is enclosures. So what is an enclosure? Enclosure, simply put, is having a target note and approaching that note below and above whatever that target note is. And typically it is done either diatonically or chromatically. So for example, if I have my target note, which is G, I can approach it a half step below and a whole step above and end with my target note. It would sound like this. Or I could approach it the opposite way. I can go a whole step below the G and a half step above, which is an F natural and an A, and then end with the target note. It would sound like this. So in this video, I'm actually gonna go over an approach that incorporates both ways, both chromatic and diatonic ways of approaching a target note. So hence the name embellished scale tone enclosure. So if we look at the pattern that I have below, simply all we're doing is approaching every single note in the G major scale with some type of enclosure. Now what I want you to do is look very, very closely at beats 1 and 3 and. If we were to play the notes on those beats, it will literally just be a scale pattern on a G major scale. Will sound like this. Now, if we look at the remaining notes, excluding those that I just told you about, you're actually approaching the target note with half steps both below and above. So if we look at approaching the target note of G, very first beat 1 and 2 and, it would sound like this. And every single note of this pattern is essentially that same pattern, except for if we look at the third note and the 7th note, which is approaching the B natural and approaching the F sharp. So if we look at those two notes, they are both approached by a half step, so we can't exactly use that same pattern, so we vary it up a little bit. Those two sound like this. So without really overcomplicating things, that's essentially the pattern. What I like to do and how I like to practice it is every note one at a time. So instead of what you have written below, which is the pattern in its entirety, I'll actually practice beat 1 enclosing the first G, A, B, etc. throughout the scale. I'll play an example of it right now. And so like I said, I'll separate every single note in the scale and just learn that enclosure, and then we'll go and play the pattern that I have below in its entirety. And of course, you're gonna wanna learn this in all keys. I prefer to learn these things honestly by ear, or try to break down the pattern and really think of what it is and incorporate it into all 12 keys. But if you want to have the music and go check it out and make sure that you're playing what you hear in your mind right, go to my website, www.demariusjackson.com, where you can download the free PDF there. I also wrote a book on it, so you can feel free to check that out if you desire to do that as well. One more quick tip. One way that I incorporate this into my playing, because of course you don't want to essentially just play pattern after pattern, you kind of want to play what's inside you and what you hear. These exercises are meant to facilitate what you hear in your mind and get that out on the horns. But anyway, what I like to do is practice enclosing scale tones. It gets a really good sound, especially kind of getting that bebop sound if that's what you're searching for. So I'll play an example of that over, let's do a blues in B flat. So there you have it. Hopefully you liked the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the website. Do all those things. And until next time, I'll catch you on the next video. Out.